What's up, everybody? We're here for episode 18 of the Pitside podcast. This week, we have got legendary commentator Joe White here with us. We had an extensive interview with him. I have to tell you, I think it was one of my favorite interviews ever. So stay tuned. We're going to get started here in just a minute.
Welcome to the Pitside Podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the G-Force Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Now here's your hosts, the A-Lit Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman Craig.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we're back here for episode 18. That is...
Unbelievable. 18.
Yeah, it's not a big number, but it sure feels like it hasn't been... We've had some off weeks, too, you know?
Yeah, but it feels like week 7 or week 8 or something.
Yeah, I'm with you. These are steadily building up.
Yeah.
I guess we'll be, if we were to do this every week, and there's no doubt going to be some off weeks, I have to tell everybody, when Roger and I have a really particularly poor race week, when things are not going our way, sometimes the podcast gets canceled just out of anger and frustration. It doesn't happen often, but
not anger, just frustration.
Well, speak for yourself.
Well, yeah, but it's usually coupled with issues with the league. Some crap's going on somewhere.
That's true.
And then a bad race just makes it. That's kind of like, why are we doing all this?
Yeah, but so we could easily stack 45 episodes over the course of 2021. So that would put us over 50 episodes. That we will do something really special for episode 50. Maybe even something for 25. But when we get to 50, we're gonna have we'll have like a 4-hour long episode and just interview everybody we possibly can. Or maybe we'll do something live. That would be fun. We could do a live episode.
Oh yeah, that would be a little bit scary. That's for sure.
No, it's fine.
Then all the outtakes would be the intakes, so it's
it's fine. We send them all our outtakes anyway, or most of them at least. I know.
Yeah.
I got a message from I guess it was Steve Shaw, because he and I are racing in Roadrunners together, and he was laughing at me because when I really struggled, and it has nothing to do with Greg, but for whatever reason when we had Greg on, we had somebody else on that week too. I can't remember who it was, but for whatever reason, maybe it wasn't Greg. I don't know. We had somebody on, and I could not get the intro done to save my life. I put in 2 or 3 outtakes when I edited it, but there were probably 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So the outtakes are fun, but they are frustrating in the moment. But anyway, we've got Joe White, an interview with Joe White, and I have to tell you, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but Joe is a cool dude. I really like talking to him. He's as laid back, and maybe it's just because it's the southern hospitality. I don't know what it is, but he was a lot of fun to talk to. We talked to him for, I think, close to 45 minutes, and we probably could have gone for 45 minutes more. He's really interesting. Got good stories, and is really in touch, and that's one thing I'll give him a lot of credit for. We're not the only league that he broadcasts, but he is definitely very in touch with our league. Knows the drivers, and he mentions in the interview, and I'll let you guys listen to that. But there's some he's had some things in his past that have affected his memory a little bit, but he does a great job. So Joe was a great interview. We're gonna jump over here and listen to Joe and Roger and myself just kind of pal around here for a few minutes.
Wow, been waiting for this one for a long time, since we first started the podcast. We got none other than Joe White. Joe's been with us now for how long, Joe? Maybe over a year now, maybe?
Yeah, it's been probably a good 6-7 months or so. It's been around, I'd say back in maybe June, May or so forth.
Yeah, I mean, if not longer ago than that. But we've been happy to have you on board. You do a phenomenal job, and things are looking better and better all the time. And gotta love that backdrop you got, buddy. That looks really wicked.
I did this backdrop. I actually made that logo. Kind of spent about 10 hours doing it one day. Just got kind of a creative. Watched a lot of videos and so forth, but kind of used. I said, it looked kind of cool to hang out. Just be a little different, I guess.
Got to make a note here. I got a question to ask you later that led into one of those. But no, we've been glad to have you on. And one of the biggest developments too is you getting us on iRacing.com. That's a huge feather in your cap, and I think you've been there before. But from the league perspective, we've been happy with everything you've been doing up to now. But that just ratchets it up another notch.
And too, it's all about trying to get the league out there. That's my job. I mean, as a broadcaster, and then I get into the politics side of racing, is to get out there the excitement and the thrill of what y'all do. When I first started broadcasting, there wasn't dirt, and that's entirely what y'all do is dirt. It's fast, furious. iRacing Live, yes, I was on it before. I looked up and got on it. I kind of lacked off because I went back on my schedule a little bit. And I took a chance. I said, you know what? Let me send an email back in. I knew the guy there, and he gave me he said, you've been approved back again. He gave me all the the stuff to do and whatnot to log in. And I said, I understand here we do it on a different YouTube. I said, let me see if it maybe helps us out on both ends. Worth a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just more exposure. So you mentioned that you were started before dirt. How long have you been broadcasting?
I've been broadcasting since 2016 on iRacing. I've done, streaming and whatnot way before that. I got started on iRacing in 2015. I've been in sim racing, and I'm going to tell my age a little bit here, way before 94 Papyrus, if you're familiar with the NASCAR side of things. So, I knew about iRacing. I was on the console side of things for a long time, migrated over to PC in about 2015, and was doing some league racing. Obviously, there was no dirt when I started. It didn't start up to about 2018 or so. And there was a league that I was running in. He had it broadcasting it, and I love the broadcast. I come from watching guys like Barney Hall, Dr. Jerry Punch, all those guys in NASCAR, the older style guys.
Yeah.
And man, I love the way they do it and so forth. And he was I saw that they were broadcasted on the league that I was running. I was running trucks, and I said, man, that is awesome. And I said, it's something I'm interested in. And luckily, the guy that ran the league, you might be familiar, Roger, if y'all been in iRacing for a while, you might be familiar with. He actually worked as a broadcaster for ETV. And ETV, back in the day, if you look it up, they were pretty much a premier broadcaster, just like what Race Spot and LSR are today. They did the top stuff. They were actually bought out by LSR back in the day, so you can read kind of about it. Well, he was one of their top broadcasters. He just kind of burned out and wanted to run a league. So he got me the program. I was already streaming. He got me the program, and he said, hey, man, here you go. He said, I took about 3 or 4 months of just studying of how to do it. And I found out real quick that, I needed a new computer because my computer just wasn't the best. That came a little bit later on. But I actually officially, I'm going to say, I always say my first official broadcast was probably around December the 1st, 2016. I did a few maybe beforehand or whatnot and so forth and so on. But from that point on, it just flourished. I mean, I didn't think that I was going to blow up that big. I was only planning to do one league, that league. Next thing I know, I had 3 and 4 different leagues out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's funny you mentioned being a console guy and also being a fan of Dr. Jerry Punch. So I have to ask, and this is going to be out of left field, but back when I was younger, I had a Super Nintendo, and there was a game called ESPN Speed World, and it was one of the first racing games I ever played, and it had this terribly animated Dr. Jerry Punch with 3 lines of audio. I didn't know. I just want to know if you remembered that, and I guess tell my age too. I don't know.
I don't remember that one right off the top of my head. I know some of maybe the EA ones back in the day did it. Again, coming from the console side of things. They had a really good, record with it. But Dr. Jerry Punch, now, some of the earlier things, because I loved listening to him, And it was funny. One of the first dirt races that I did it for Team VLR.
Oh, yeah.
And when I did it for them, and again, we was talking about Brett Wheeler. I had him there. It was funny because they got a message from somebody that watched it. And the guy said, "Hey, when did y'all get Dr. Jerry Punch to do your dirt racing league?" Because I got that Southern voice came out, obviously. And I've admitted over the years now, there's not many of us left with a Southern accent. It's going more kind of West Coast, Northern style. So there's not many of the Southern, low key style happening. Oh, and iRacing, that is. But it was funny to see. And they said, "No, that was Joe White out there." Well, dadgum, he sounded just like him. And I said, "That's funny because I like their style of broadcasting and so forth."
They think we all sound the same, don't they?
They do, man. They do.
So okay, just before we get off that topic, Grand Prix on a Commodore 64. I bet you don't remember that. I mean,
pole position too. So we can go even a little further back on that one. So I guess that would probably be the official sim race that I'd ever done. Pole position. So that I'm really telling me where I started.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Indy 500. Do you remember that one? Indy 500. That was actually for the Papyrus and so forth. So wasn't in the sim racing a lot back in the day. Just I don't know why I never got into iRacing before. I know the history and I know how everything came about. But a buddy of mine got me into it. Me and him raced a lot on the console, and he was in the iRacing. And he said, "You need to try this out because I like NASCAR." And it's just been kind of ongoing. Now, to this day, I don't race. All I do is broadcast. So a lot of people look at me strange, like, "You pay for iRacing just to talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love it. Enjoy it. I like it."
So, Roger, here's what we do. Yeah. We need to go and gather up all the broadcasters we've talked to, because I think most broadcasters tell us that. There's been a couple of exceptions that they'll race one night a week or something. They have a league that they've been with for a while. But most of them do nothing but broadcast. So, what I think we do is we host the Pitside podcast broadcasters race. Get all the broadcasters, and then you and I can do a terrible job of commentating the race.
That would be good. Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun.
I'd have to pull my wheel and all out on that, but I mean, it's been a little bit definitely. Now, as long as it's not dirt stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, y'all probably wouldn't want me on dirt, man. That would not be well.
Here's what I'm suggesting then, Joe, and I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Starting this Friday, we're running trucks in the afternoon, 2:00 in the afternoon. We're running trucks. I think we're starting at Charlotte this week. So you should come out, get that wheel out, and come on out and run some trucks with us. That'd be awesome.
It's been a while since I've had it out. I used to have it actually right here, and you'd be able to see it in front of me. But I used to have it out right here because I have two screens, and the one I look up at and the one I'm looking down at. But I don't know. I've not really been able to. I was so busy at one time doing broadcast stuff. It kind of just took away from the racing. Now I do love road racing. I do love that. That's actually where I started sim wise. Was it the NASCAR? The NASCAR obviously on iRacing, but road racing did Project Cars and obviously a lot of other ones. But
you got to drag your ass out to our Sunday night Skippy stuff. Even Doug Elkins has come out for that, so maybe the two of you could have a bit of a duel.
Hey, join the Constructors Championship.
The Constructors team, they could. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. It's a done deal. We'll see you Sunday.
The problem is I got another broadcast on Sunday. So,
screw those guys.
So Joe, I wanted to ask you, and there's going to be some obvious answers to the question, so we'll cover those off so you can't give them. But I'm always curious if there's somebody in our league that maybe is not one of the top runners. Like we know Brandon Schultz and Steve Goldner. Those guys are, bad fast every race. They're some of our best drivers, and they'll be competitive wherever they go. But kind of those guys where you see occasionally, is there anybody that kind of just stands out to you that maybe doesn't finish as high, but they're always in there? Or?
Well, LW wise, I gotta say, and the reason is that I've never seen anybody be more not only racing, but he is very active on the chat and as far as with the broadcast and the league in general. I really feel he is there. He interacts a lot with what's going on, and I'm not taking away from anybody else. I mean, a lot of them do, but he really does. And I'm not saying he hasn't, because he has won a few races, and and I used to pull for this guy Roger Craig a lot at one time, and I used to always talk about him, but
it didn't work out well.
I don't really see him a lot now.
I was the comedy line usually.
But it's strange because LW, he'll get on there and he'll say, "Yeah, I'm trying to do this, that." And he'll give me some insight on it, and I'll get out there, and I know he's won a couple on the heat races and so forth. So it's good to see. I'm all about in the broadcast the interaction, because the biggest thing that we have an advantage over real commentators is being able to interact with the viewers. Real commentators, they can't do that. Not at the track or not anything like that. We're able to, family members or anybody like that, interact with them.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I've definitely done that a couple of times when my dad's racing, and I'll sit down to watch it and just try to throw a couple of things out there and goof around with you a little bit. So I mean that's a good thing to know too, because it's hard for us sometimes, especially like we've got a handful of guys on our team. So if I'm not racing, I'm spotting for somebody. But if you got a minute, flip on the broadcast and shoot Joe a message, tell him the track was way looser than you thought or whatever, because it basically you're almost getting like a little mini interview, and you can feed him some information. So that's for anybody watching. Shoot Joe a message during the race, and maybe you get some airtime. Or some extra.
And I am watching it. I mean, I watch the chat just like I'm watching a lot. I know Roger mentioned one time, he said, "Man, that video I saw you do, Joe, of how everything works in the background." So you could kind of see all the buttons I'm mashing and so forth, and still, commentate. I am watching the chat though, because
I know
I love it. I love interacting with the viewer. I love interacting with the drivers, man.
I have no idea. Like, the odd time we'll have a technical problem, and I'll message you and you're on it. Like it's a huge shout out to Spencer Mullen, because he's on the ball too. But you guys work well together when there's any technical issues. But you're reading all that stuff. You're reading all these messages coming in. You're getting all the sponsors up, and you're doing like it's. I don't know.
And you're keeping track of Roger running off the track.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you mentioned that there. I give a little one that a lot of people don't know. The earlier days when I first started, I did a lot of NASCAR racing. And, those races are long, 130, 150 lap races, depending on the track. Usually an hour and a half. Sometimes they can go 2 hours. So not quite as short as what dirt track racing is, and not quite as fast either. But I did a lot of the races by myself early on. Now I usually do have 2 or so people in the booth or a person in the booth with me. But, I just loved it so much, and getting it out there. Earlier on I was able to do them by myself. Now it's like I enjoy having somebody with me, because it's tiring to talk that much.
Yeah, and Roger and I can attest to that, because we tried to do some road racing for 3 or 4 weeks. We were running really terrible in the Skip Barber series, so we decided we'd just broadcast it and still be part of it. And I finally told Roger, I was like, "Look, man, you know what? I would rather go race and be terrible, or just watch TV, because I can't talk that much. It's just not for me. It's definitely you get better at it, but you also have to just have a little bit of natural talent to be able to kind of roll through things like that. So it's more power to you, man, because it's not for me."
Yeah, no, I think that was it was like when I used to coach hockey, and every kid would get to play goal, so they would appreciate that position. And it's the same thing when we tried broadcasting. Preston was really good at actually filling all the empty spaces.
Yeah, and
I just
like
dazzled by everything going on,
yeah.
trying to keep up. It was just crazy.
It is, and like you just said there, you have got to enjoy it, and that's the one thing I do. I enjoy it. I've always said this: the day that it does not stay fun or it becomes more of a job to me, I'm done. I will quit, because I have that ability to be able to do it. I do this because I enjoy it, and like you said, you've got to be able to get out there. It's just like racing. You got to be able to enjoy it and have fun doing it. And apologize for all the people running behind me. My wife is moving around a lot of stuff. So
it's all good, man.
Y'all can see them flashing through the screen.
It looks like I said earlier before we started, it looks like doves flying around or something. It looks like birds flying. It's kind of cool. Another special effect from Joe White.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a lot of people, I don't really show my mug because now that I've probably scared off every bug in everybody's house out there now. So you don't need a pest control. I don't really show my face too much, even when I'm playing maybe an online game or anything. Maybe that's another reason why I like to broadcast. I want to stay behind the mic and let my voice do it.
So I think it's great. It's great getting you on here so people can put a face behind the name because, I think so many, you have a cult following. People love Joe White. And I think, it's good that they can see the face behind the name.
And you know what it is? It's the one-liners. Because so we always we'll go back and watch the broadcast or if it's one I'm not in, I'll watch the broadcast. And there's always, at least amongst our team, there's always the conversation about Joe said this, and you get some zingers in there, man. And so I you may not remember. Is there one that stands out to you that was the best one you ever pulled off? The one you killed, they killed Kenny was the one that really.
Well, the kill Kenny one, yeah, that was just good. I don't know. It was just ironic how that played out. You had Kenny and who was the other one? Kyle and Kenny was just right there. And the first thing that came to my mind was South Park, and I was like, holy cow. But that takes me back because a lot of people associated those with Joe-isms. And I was like, what the heck is an ism? I used to have a guy when I first started, I was in a booth because of Ryan Daniels. And he was like, there it is again, Joe. You said it again. You did. And I'm sitting there going, what are you talking about, man? I don't know what I talked. And I'll never forget the first one. I was doing a NASCAR race, and I would sometimes give the drivers nicknames, and I still do to this day. And then one of the drivers was his name was Tyler, and his family watched. And when I say his family, I mean his mom, his sister. He had his aunt out there watching. He was like Mr. Popularity. So that's what I did. I said, Tyler Sifford, Mr. Popular. And he was racing. He was coming through the field, and I said instantly, here comes Tyler Sifford to the field. I said, Mr. Popularity himself. You know why he's so popular? Because he's just popular. I didn't think nothing about it. And Ryan said, there it is. He said, that's one of them isms. That's what that Joe ism. I said, really? I said, okay. I said, I never knew it. And they just, that goes back to, I've never been everything I do on racing, when I call a race, I want it to be from the heart and kind of just spontaneous. What I see on the track. There are guys out there that are a heck of a lot better than I am, and they can do it. But I tell you, if you really enjoy what you're doing and trying to know what it is and know what's going on the track, you should be able to make that stuff flow. And I hope that's my number one thing. I hope that people come away from the races, one, smiling and had a good time, and two, just basically saying, man, how does he throw those words together like he was talking about? Because yeah, it's different. It's a different style. It's just different than what everybody else.
Well, and I hope you don't take any offense to this because I mean it as a compliment, 100%. But we run dirt racing, right? And the dirt community is all built around the local track, and I think that's why you fit our league so well because it's got that that local Saturday night track feel. That's how it's always felt to me. And I thought
I missed my calling in life is what I think of. I talked to Doug a couple of times on that, and I think I did.
I mean, you fit that style perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. And I think we're lucky. We've got some really good broadcasters in the league right now, but they're different styles, and one's not better than the other. They complement each other. But you've got a unique style that and that you don't apologize for, and you shouldn't never apologize for because it's just it's just the best. It's just I know when I guess I was running the Street Stocks, and I was running the old beer can there, and
the popular ribbon machine, he won the can again.
And I'd watch the replays, and I'd just be pissing myself laughing. Just
the best was when you went off the track at Lanier, And I don't remember if I was watching or if we watched it after the fact, but you made a comment about, well, there goes Roger off to the concession stands.
Man. Yeah. A beer and a smile, and he's gone. Yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of like that learner's wheel track we just got off of, because that thing is wild. You just shoot right off the track, next thing you know. But yeah, you're right, guys. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody is a thing, and when it comes to the broadcast community, I would love to say, though, all of us are one big happy family, but sometimes that don't work. But hey, it is what it is. You got to have fun with it. You definitely got to have fun. And you're right there, Roger. When it comes to the broadcast side of things, that's why I always ask a league owner, I said, look, go to the page, listen to what I got. If you like it, hey, great. If you don't, maybe I can try to find somebody you do. And, because I understand that it's so different. And, some guys, just want a different style or whatnot. But, I've held to what I have over the years because I go back to that word, having fun.
That's right.
I want to have fun with it.
Yep. And that was a concern of ours. We came out with, as our sponsors built up, and we came out with a script so we could show them all the love. And my concern was that it would turn into a script read, and you would lose your style, like it would cramp your style. But you've handled that. I mean, like Doug's involved too, but even those broadcasts you do on your own, you were doing them without it affecting your style, and that's a key thing, because we don't want to lose that style. Like, that is what makes Joe White popular.
That's why we pay you.
You mentioned that too, and I learned when I first started, a lot of leagues didn't have a lot of sponsors involved. It pretty much was, hey, so and so league tonight, we're the Cup Series, et cetera, et cetera. As I went on, they started implementing in title sponsors, and just to name one in particular, Kick-Ass Beef Jerky. And what I learned earlier on, with the style, I didn't have a script. I read up on what the sponsor was. That was the first thing I do. I'd go to their website, see what they are. I wouldn't do it word for word. I wouldn't go like it sound robotic. But like Kick-Ass Beef Jerky, I'm going to tell you what they got, because they sent me some of it too, by the way. Kick-Ass Beef Jerky, here's tonight with a Sim 500 Kick-Ass Beef Jerky Truck Series here live tonight. We're going to be able to throw down. I'm going to tell you what, go to Kick-Ass Beef Jerky. Get 20% off here tonight with the Sim 500 code, kickassbeefjerky.com. You see right there, I got enough of that sponsor. I learned early on to get those sponsors out, and to get it out without sounding, again, the robotic way. And making it flow a little bit. I guess I could maybe, I don't like doing it because I just don't want to get the ego side, but the toot my own horn, there's not many people that can do that. I know Doug has said, man, I'll tell you what, sometimes your segue into it, it's flawless, and you don't use the script to do it sometimes. I don't know what it is. Again, I feel like I missed my calling in life. But iRacing, one thing has allowed me to do is allowed me to do a dream that I wanted to do. Broadcast, basically. Not many people know this too. Is in 2014, I had a brain tumor removed. And this right here actually is more therapeutic to me than anything. It helps me with my memory. That's why I always tell you all the time, send it to me in a text, because I will forget it. Definitely. If I don't get what I'm saying out at a certain time, I can forget it and stuff like that. Small things along the line. So I use this as a therapeutic thing with my speech, with my memory. And again, like I said, I just think it kind of, like you talked about the short, tracks around here. There's not many dirt tracks where I'm at, except for Charlotte, which that's a pretty big dirt track. So to have an opportunity to announce something like that, few and far between. So iRacing's really opened up a lot of that.
You ever go to those races over there?
I have never been to a dirt race. I have never been to a NASCAR race in my life, and have watched NASCAR all my life. Now, I drag raced when I was younger.
And you live in North Carolina.
And I live in North Carolina, yes. I'm only 45 minutes away from those tracks, the drag strip, the speedway, and the dirt track. I'm only 20-some minutes away from Bowman Gray. Now, I have been to that one. I have been to Bowman Gray back in the day. And if you know what Bowman Gray, that's pretty much just a bull house of a place. They just demolition derby is pretty much what they do there a lot. But I've never been to a NASCAR race. I don't know why. I just haven't. I would love to go to a dirt race. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I never was curious in dirt racing until I raced.
I can tell you, having been to both, so maybe, and I'm gonna be a little biased here, but going to a NASCAR race and going to a dirt track race, dirt wins hands down, hand over fist, over and again. Like it's an awesome show, and you can take your other people to it, right? So I'll tell you, I don't know how your wife feels about racing. My wife, maybe because of all the time.
She's been to a dirt race before when she was younger.
So all the time I spend on here, maybe have a problem with it. She's not into racing at all. But taking her to a NASCAR race where they're 400 laps in a row, she can't hear. I had to give up my headset to her so she could figure out what was going on, and then I didn't know what was going on. Go to a dirt track race. They run 8 laps, and then they run 12 laps, and then they run 30 laps, and then they run 30 other laps. It's way easier to digest for someone who's not into racing. Plus, the racing, in my opinion, is just much better anyway. So
it's more intense.
Yeah, Joe, we're going to have to figure out how to get you over to the dirt track.
Yeah, and I tell you, it another thing now. I drag raced back in the 90s, and when I met my wife, I met her in 2000, and we got married in 01. I actually proposed to her at Rockingham Speedway, the drag strip. That's where I actually raced at a lot. So she was definitely into racing. She loved fast cars and loud cars and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's just one of the things I actually I put. We're about 2.5 hours from Rockingham. We're closer to the Charlotte area, and we're about 2 hours. So we were going to go down on a Friday. I went ahead. She was getting off work later. What I did was I took the ring and I wrote a letter, and I put the ring in the glove compartment. And I wrote her a letter saying, "Look in the glove compartment and let me know what your answer is when you get down there." So it gave her 2 hours to think about it on the way. And obviously she gave me the ring back when she got there. And I was just kind of puzzled look like, what? She goes, "Now you can ask me the real way." No, okay. Fair enough. No problem with that one. But that one is kind of a memory you never forget. So as far as racing goes, it's always been in the blood. I just never have had an opportunity to ever get to a dirt or a NASCAR race. And with my health, obviously, the way it is now, it's even tougher for me to get out to them. Again, that's kind of how I use iRacing as in a whole. And the broadcast side of things has really helped me. I don't know. It just really, really has helped.
Well, Joe, I mentioned on the show, I think before, but my first wife, God bless her, I got engaged at Mosport Speedway. So you're a man after me. We both thought it was a romantic place, and maybe it backfired on me because I had to leave the track so she could show everybody the ring. And
he was at an endurance race. How far into the race did you get before you proposed?
Our lucky number was 24, so I waited for the 24th lap, and it was like an endurance race. It was a 6-hour race or something.
Wow.
I think I lasted an hour.
Roger's always been a man of great foresight.
I'm gonna tell you, it's just been great, and my wife right now, she really sometimes she goes, "You got a race tonight to do?" And I go, "Yeah, I got one to do tonight." So she'll, she's not really much into the iRacing, but she will listen. She'll tell some people about it, and that's fine. She likes doing her hobbies, and I like doing this. I think it's something that keeps me out of trouble,
Well, especially with the whole COVID thing, it's good that you got a separate hobby, because that's what I find is, I got my racing, my wife does her crochet, and it gives us a little bit of time apart, which is, key. So that's good. But something else I wanted to bring up that struck me very early was, we've dealt with a lot of broadcasters, and some of them, we've got some great broadcasters right now, but some of them can be prima donnas. Just saying. But the thing that was it absolutely shocked me. It shocked me because in your business, knowledge is valuable, and there's all this all the time. Like this is how I'm not sharing my secrets. And I get on, I forget, I think just from following you on Facebook and that, but all of a sudden I see all these YouTube videos, where everybody else is keeping it to themselves. Joe's out showing the world. This is how I do it. You want to be able to do this or that? Here, let me show you. And he's got like a 20-minute or more YouTube video on how to do it. Like that speaks volumes for you, buddy. It's, it's just an awesome thing what you do there.
And with that said, have I had it bite me in the tail? The old saying goes back to the nice guys never win. Usually it's always the bad guys. But you know what? I'm not going to change because of that. I definitely want to help. I'm here to have fun. If I can help someone, great. Sure, I want to grow as a broadcaster, as a company. I understand there are some out there that a lot bigger than I am. They have a lot bigger things, and most leagues want that style and so forth. So that's just how it is. But to help somebody if they want to get in there to do those videos, I don't mind, doing it because, when I started, I had to learn a lot. I did a lot of reading and so forth. You're still, even with those videos that I show, it's going to take, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe some knowledge still to get going. Yeah. I can show them, but you're going to have to still, one, obviously invest in the equipment. That's another thing. We've seen an influx of broadcasters. When I first started, there was not that many. There was, I probably could have counted them on my hand. Obviously there was the Race Spot and LSR. They were around. They're the big guys, Sim Speed and all those. But the other ones, I probably could have counted them on my hand. Now it's just like, boom. It's almost like the league when the dirt came around. Everybody wants to be a broadcaster. Everybody wants to do the iRacing. You see them come and go, and the number one reason I think I see them come and go is they see the time on the back end that we put in. Obviously, because I'm there before the races. And the reason I'm in there before him is like what Preston knows. You're setting up this podcast. You're setting stuff up in the background. Yep. You're setting up all your events. I sit down and sit for 3 hours putting in events for here and plus every other league that I have. So that time plus the equipment that you have to have, mics like this, and I just built a whole new computer this year. So just to do broadcasting. At some point, it's fun, but I think what happens is a lot of these guys who are really, really not committed, they find after a while that, man, it can be work, a little bit of work, and you do have to invest back in it. The overlay I use, I pay a monthly on. iRacing is a monthly subscription if you don't own it. So things like that, those things, sure, I could tell, but you just have to pretty much, whether that's what you want to do or not, and I don't mind helping. I have had the criticism, though, unfortunately, from some over it. Why are you showing this off, Joe? Because I can, but don't mind helping. I really don't. And if anybody in the league needs help, or if I can, maybe I can point them in the right direction.
Well, and maybe I shouldn't say this because maybe it's not the most glowing endorsement for Joe and his broadcast company, but the few races we did broadcast for our Roadrunner Series, I went to Joe before we started and got some advice and some tips on overlays and stuff like that. So I'll thank you, even though we didn't continue doing it, because it was good information, and quite frankly, I wouldn't have been able to figure it out on my own. I have some of the back end programming kind of knowledge where I was making overlays but didn't know how to use them. So I think those YouTube videos are still out there. So if anybody's kind of looking for some tips.
I mean, actually, one of them's pinned on the OSR Network Facebook page. I believe the one that you were talking about there, Roger, that shows you how. Actually, I'm going to do an updated one here soon. I really want to do how my sound is set up. There's another known broadcast company out there, one of the ones who's been around for a long time. Some people would say, Joe, you're crazy. Why in the world would you give them or help them with that information? I actually set his whole sound up, separated it with the virtual mixers and everything so that he could have all set up because he asked me to. I didn't ask for nothing in return. I just did it. And then, I've had people say, why would you do that? Well, why not? I mean, he's been around for so and so long. He's going to be committed. I get what they're doing. Hey, look, it could hurt your business or so forth. Business is good. I will say that. This off season, unfortunately, if you go back and listen to some of my broadcasts back in about 2019, the beginning of 2019, I had a gentleman with me by the name of Tim McBriar. He was an older gentleman. He was well up in his 60s. And strong Southern accent. I mean, he was Alabama style, boy. Yeehaw, and it just really was. People loved listening to us because I have that deeper tone Southern, and he just had that. Well, y'all come on back here, I mean, just that strong Alabama one. And all he ever wanted to do was broadcast, and I knew nobody was going to give him a chance just by the way he sounded. And I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm not that kind of ego. Come on if you want to. Me and him did a lot of broadcasts over the several years. And unfortunately he passed away. That was the first time in my iRacing broadcast side of things that something really hurt me really, really bad. And I almost quit. I said, I'm done. Because that really, that almost took the life out of me. I leaned back. I was doing 7 days a week at a time, sometimes twice a night. And I went back to doing 3 days a week. Now what I've done now is I've kind of picked it back up a little bit because I've gotten that fun factor. And I think I've said that before. Like here, this league with the dirt has just been fun. I've enjoyed it. I've been you be able to be yourself. You're able to get out there and just have fun with it. And that's another thing I looked at. So when I said business was good, this off season, which has been December, so forth, I get email after email. I'm back to 5 days a week now. I could push that to 7 if I wanted, but I don't want to. So I'm back to 5 days, doing pretty much every night. It is filled. Some of the nights that I didn't even say I was going to fill are back. So when I help people, it goes back to the saying. When I help people, they can sit and say, "Well, you're just going to hurt your business or hurt yourself." It never has. If you be true to yourself, in the long run, it's going to work out.
One of the questions I'm going to. Preston always has his question. My question's going to start being your most memorable moment in iRacing, whether it be on the track or announcing. What would that be?
I got to announce with Ben Shelton. You know who he is?
Yes. Did you do the spring fling with VLR?
I did one of the spring flings with them, and I did not know who Ben Shelton was. Didn't even know who the man was at all, and did my research afterwards. Was one of the nicest guys in the world. He came in. He said, "Man, I heard you say." He said, and again, he made that reference. He said, "You sound like the Dr. Jerry Punch guy again. That color commentary style." And I'm going to tell you, actually, I have the older video somehow. If you go back and find it on the YouTube, on the channel, me and him flowed just right off. It just clicked. And that was probably one of the funnest things. I've had NASCAR drivers in leagues like Denny Hamlin. I've got to talk to Chase Briscoe. He won a race before. I'm not familiar with some of the dirt guys yet. I'm getting familiar with a lot of them, so more familiar with the NASCAR guys. Parker Klingerman, I've got to talk to him. So, but the biggest one had to be the Ben Shelton one because just who he was, his name, and that event doing it. But I've had so many great things iRacing's been able to do. I don't really get nervous like I used to because now it's just really fun to get up here and do it.
So I'll mention this now. I was probably going to mention it later on the podcast, and then we probably ought to let you go. But just mentioning that you actually interviewed an up and coming dirt driver tonight. This being filmed on Wednesday, just after Elite. Kenny Miller, the gentleman who won the Elite race tonight. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Tulsa Shootout, which is it's the usually 2 weekends prior to the Chili Bowl, if you've ever heard of that. It's a bunch of they're like outlaw sprint cars and stuff like that. They run indoors in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kenny Miller ran all 4 divisions in the event this past weekend and qualified for the feature in 3 of the 4 that he ran in. The 4th one, I think he just had got a bad draw. He had the car to do it, and finished 4th, 7th, and 12th in the.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, that is a big deal. They have
It's huge. It's huge.
Hundreds
I know Doug
and hundreds of
mentioned
cars
it. I know Doug mentioned it.
Yeah,
so,
Doug was talking to him tonight. Yeah. And
oh,
Doug was
okay.
aware of it.
Yeah, I haven't because I was in the race. Haven't seen the broadcast yet. So that's pretty
But I
cool.
did not know who he was. I mean, so you're right. So the things like that, I'm getting familiar with who the. Yeah, I remember. Oh, if we'd have been talking about it, who was one of the most famous dirt drivers? Oh my God!
Oh,
what is his name?
Well, what kind of car? Kyle
Larson.
Well, besides Kyle Larson, because I know him from NASCAR.
You know what kind of car he drove? Was it a sprint car, late model?
I think it's late model. I think he's a late model driver.
Bloomquist, Scott Bloomquist is probably.
There it is. Yep. I know who he is, definitely, because, man, he just seems like his name pops up when it comes to dirt all the time.
Well, he gets caught cheating sometimes, and there's a lot of controversy. He is damn good. Don't get me wrong, but there's been a lot of controversy, at least in the last few years, and that's probably why his name pops up more often. But
okay.
You'd be surprised, as being somebody that watches NASCAR, you'd be surprised how many of those guys come out of sprint cars. I mean,
all that.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, you look Kyle Larson, even Jeff Gordon. He didn't run he didn't run dirt, but he ran sprint cars back long before he ran.
Tony Stewart.
Yeah, that's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think we probably ought to let you go, Joe. We're going to have you back because I'm pretty sure we could double this out at any particular time. So we really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate
it.
Everything you've done for our league. If nothing else, at this point you're our longest standing broadcaster, and you've been excellent to work with. And we'll say the same thing about Spencer. But you guys click really well. You get stuff taken care of, and I can't thank you enough, buddy. We're so thrilled with the work you've done for us.
We're blessed to have you, buddy. We're
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man. Like I say, as always, it's been fun, and I've enjoyed it. Definitely looking forward to it. I love the dirt stuff. Want to get more involved with it. Obviously, I stay with the NASCAR side of things, but it definitely is. I hope all the viewers out there enjoy it. I've said that. There's one quote that I always definitely say, whether it's one viewer or a million, hey, as long as they loved it, that's the best thing to be.
There you go. That's our theory too.
Yep. Thanks for coming on, Joe. Just thanks for everything you do with the league. It just it means a lot. And stuff you did for the charity races and that. We're a community league. You're definitely a community spirited guy, and really appreciate everything you do, bud.
Thanks a lot.
That was. It's always great talking to Joe. Joe's such a great guy. Joe-isms. One of the Joe-isms is cool, man. So like you could be talking about anything, trying to set something up with between Spencer and him, and even if it's like not controversial, but it's like it's a bit of a challenge or something. Just cool, man. Yep. There's never any no anger, or I've never seen. I'm not sure I'd want to see him angry because he's always just nice, even keel, and the other big thing about having him on today is we finally had a Joe on the show.
That's true. That's a good point.
We finally had a Joe on the show because we can't find the other one.
Now, let me put this out there first before I make the full statement. I like Joe White. Joe White's a good dude, but it still feels a little empty because Joe Backus has been telling us for ages that he's going to come on the show, and he never does. And I know it's not going to happen now. Like I've made my peace with that.
Yeah.
But just hearing you, so we finally had a Joe. It's not the Joe that we've been anticipating, really. I think probably since about week one.
Week one,
and
this is episode 18, and we still look for him.
Still nothing. And we should point out for anybody who's not familiar, and I think most people are, Joe Backus is on our race team, and we can't get him on the show. So he exists. He's a real person.
Yeah.
I know you guys probably think he's not real. And this is just some made up name. Joe Backus is real. He lives in South Dakota, and he's never been on a podcast before.
No, unbelievable. Sad.
So,
but anyways,
let's move on. You're bringing me down.
So yeah, but to bring you back up again, I think something. It was what Joe said about enjoying doing the broadcasting, and I think we're talking about before we introduced him about it's our 18th episode and doing more, but we enjoy doing this. This is fun. This is our chance to kind of pal, like you call it, pal around. That's a Prestonism, and but it's our chance kind of to get together and regroup, and especially if we've had a frustrating week, and we can get together and have a few laughs again. So it's I enjoy these things. These are great.
Well, and I have to tell you, I have absolutely enjoyed every single person that's come on. It's a great way for us, Roger and I, obviously, to get to know people from the league. But we have some quiet people within our league, and I think just based on our connection with people, we've had a lot of the guys from our team come on. Not all of them, but a lot of them, because a lot of them have roles within the league too. But I would encourage all of our drivers at some point to try to make an effort to come on and just do a quick interview. They don't have to be 45 minutes. Roger and I are big talkers, and then we tend to end up having, well, for one, Joe's a broadcaster, so obviously he's going to be a good talker, right? And so,
yep.
But you can come on, you can talk to us for 10 minutes, right? We'd love to get to know you, and let if you got sponsors, come on here. You can pitch your sponsors, and we'll just let everybody get to know you, because it's one way that Roger and I said when we were starting this that we wanted to, because it is about the league, and we have fun doing this, but it is about the league, and we want to provide things that other leagues don't, and so the podcast is just one way we do that, or we try to do that at least. And it really has at this point turned into something more that we just enjoy doing rather than having a super defined purpose. But
that's a byproduct of the whole thing. Really, it's turned out, but now it's a very important byproduct that we enjoyed the time together and stuff. But the goal of the league always was, even when we were just 2 races a week, was to build a community. And we had all the profiles. Well, Bill Calder's going crazy with profiles right now. But getting profiles of all the guys, so there's a face to the name. Here's a little bit about the background. Ross Corinta, he's pictures of him in a combine or whatever. So like now something about the guy, and this is one more extension of that, where you get to meet these, and we get to meet a lot of these drivers. There's so many people that I, when I'm doing whatever, I'm thinking, we should have that. Like Matt Ramsey. Matt Ramsey has been in the league since day one, pretty much day one, and quiet, never mics up, just does his thing. He's still in A division, like he's, managed to stay up in the Renegades, and shows up, pretty regular. And there's a guy that'd be great to have on the show. Like, who is he? Who is Matt Ramsey? So Bruce Hilton, there's another guy. Bruce is always out there. He's in those matinee races, and pretty quiet guy too. But it'd be great to get to know Bruce. He was a driver. He raced. So there'd be some stories there. So lots of people we'd love to talk to. So if we never talked to you about it, there's a couple of names that they're probably saying, "What? You want to talk to me?" So, but if there's anybody out there who wants to come on, just send us a message. We'll get you on. We'd love to talk to you. Love to meet you. Get to know you a little better, because I know I get on the track now, and there's somebody out there. Oh yeah, I know what he looks like. I know what he sounds like, and I don't know, just one more dimension.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Roger, I don't know about Matt or Bruce, but Roger a lot of times will invite people on the podcast just after he wrecks them as a form of apology. No, I'm just kidding. But no, so that's the thing, and I want to tell, we had at some point intended to have Connor Ross on the podcast, but he sent me a message a couple of weeks ago and said, "Hey, when do you guys film the podcast?" or something like that. And I told him, I was like, "You want to come on?" And he was like, "Yeah, you read my mind." And that's how that happened. And
so now all I can think of now is the next time I'm racing and Terry's spotting for me, he goes, I'm thinking, okay, now who do I have to invite on the podcast?
That's right. So yeah, that's right. So if Roger Wright rears you, just make sure you clear Wednesday at about 10 p.m. and we'll be happy to talk to you.
I gotta say, this is maybe self-serving or something. I don't mean it that way at all, but I gotta say, because I was meaning to tell you this. I was gonna send you a note the other day. Usually Sundays I pull up the podcast because just how was it? Like, we kind of do it live, and you're kind of in the moment, so you don't. I sit here just chuckling to myself some of the stuff that goes on, and some of the interviews, and thoroughly enjoy. I'm not saying everybody enjoys it as much as I do it. I shouldn't enjoy watching myself, but it's not that. It's just some of the stupid stuff that happens.
Well, so I will tell you, and maybe it's because I edit them. I have never watched one of our podcasts like after it's gone live. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm like a glamorous Hollywood actor that acts in a movie and doesn't watch it themselves. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I edit it and I see a lot of it then because I'm trying to make sure all the audio's checked out and stuff. But I have not seen one.
So do you watch the whole thing though when you're editing?
No, because I'm pretty well. I know what happened. There was a time, and if you've been watching from the beginning, you'll remember this. The first 3 or 4 weeks, the audio was absolute crap. Like I could not get that worked out to save my life. So those I did pretty much watch the whole thing because we're getting technical now. But what I actually did was I would talk and I would split the video, level the audio. Roger would talk. I'd split the video, level the audio, and it took me hours on end. It's gotten much easier now. This last week's went out really late because YouTube was taking a dump on us. But I mean, I threw the videos together, chopped the front and back off the video where we count in and everything, and pieced it together. We didn't have any real outtakes last week that I got on recording at least. There was a funny moment because we had Greg Boydell on last week, and I don't think anybody would have noticed. Greg was using a tablet and couldn't find somewhere to put it where it fit real well. He's kind
of sitting like this or something the whole show.
Yes, and he held that tablet up the entire show. We ended the interview and it fell over because his hand was killing him.
Yeah, it was on glass. He has a glass table, and it was he couldn't get it up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, good for him. It was awesome because you could not tell at all, but it was really funny. But I didn't get that on recording, and I wish I had because it was really funny. But I mean, so last week was really easy. It's gotten easier every week.
So you've got actually I got the wired ones. I think you got the Bluetooth ones, right? The earpods.
Yeah, I have a set of AirPods, but they don't work as well.
But what I'm going to say is, when you're at church, you should wire it up and you could watch it.
So I'm glad
you got to tell that story. That's where I was going with that.
All right. So Penny Lee and I are pretty. We attend church pretty regularly, and now everybody's judging me because I've said some curse words on the podcast before. But anyway, you do it yourself, so leave me alone. So anyway, we go to church last week. We haven't been in a while. We've been watching online and stuff because of everything going on. But the church we attend is they're doing social distancing and everything. It's New Year. We figured let's just go to church this Sunday. So we go, and our church doesn't currently have any kind of childcare, which kind of stinks because we have a 2-year-old Eli, and he's a 2-year-old. I mean, he's a typical 2-year-old. He's actually very well mannered. So we're sitting in. We get into church and we sit down, and it's just so happened they had 3 seats kind of in the back. It's a Baptist church, so obviously I like to sit in the back. And there were 3 seats in one section. It worked out perfect. So Penny Lee and I sat on either side. We sat Eli in the middle, and he sat down for a minute, and then immediately he's ready to color. And that's fine. So we pulled out his color and stuff because we're prepared parents. That's what we do. So we give him his color and stuff, and he's being real quiet, and he's coloring, and it's fine. And the service is kind of starting up, and they're playing music, and he loved that. He was paying real close attention to that for a couple minutes, and then he lost interest. So then he starts switching color markers that he's using, and he starts announcing every single color that he's using. So we're sitting in service, and he's going, red, brown, but it was short enough that it was just kind of funny. People were laughing a little bit, and it was just not frequent enough. Well, he was steadily getting more and more talkative. He got done coloring, and then he wants goldfish, and then he's just talking about eating goldfish and, just rambling on. That's some of the stuff we don't even understand. He's just going on and on. And we're telling him, all right, you got to be quiet, stop talking, you got to shh. And he's going shh back, and then he just keeps talking like he just doesn't really get it, right? So we're sitting there, and he's still going on and on, and the sermon is just getting started, and he is just rambling. And I don't know if we were getting on people's nerves, probably not, but we're probably more self-conscious about that than other people are. And I lean over to Penny Lee. She's a seat and a half away from me, and I said, "We should have sat in the car." And Eli looks up at me and goes, "Shh," just like that. And I mean, you can't be mad. It was hilarious. And I said, all right, well, that's it. So I picked them up, and we packed up our stuff, and we went and sat in the car and listened to the sermon on the FM transmitter.
So I got to ask you a question out of all that, though. So you said you go to a Baptist church, so I like to sit at the back.
Yeah.
Like, what's that all about?
Well, maybe that's not a thing.
You'll get volunteered for stuff if you sit closer up?
No, it's just it's a stereotypical, and there's probably a lot of denominations that say that. But if you go to a full Baptist church or an almost full Baptist church, the front 2 rows will be empty.
Oh yeah, okay,
they fill in from the back because nobody wants to be.
It's like school.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. So anyway,
okay.
Funny story.
But anyways. So I guess we should talk about some racing stuff here.
I suppose that's what we should do.
If we've got anybody left listening. There's a few things. Have you got any thoughts or anything before I go into my whole diatribe here?
No, I'll let you ramble. I thought the Elite, it didn't go great for me, but the Elite race, and Joe mentioned in the interview the street stock race. I didn't get to see that tonight. I was on daddy duty, but the Elite race was awesome. From the first heat to the feature, all of them was an incredible race. In the first heat especially, I mean, the top 3 guys were 3 wide, lap after lap. But it was really good racing. The fact that it was on iRacing was even better. The fact that one of my Epsilon Sprint Wraps drivers and teammates was in second place was personally wonderful for me.
No, that was for us. I think everybody knows we're not the best team on the track. We're more about, it's a community team. We got all these old farts, us guys down on the bottom and dragging the team down. But we're not as competitive as many other teams. So it was great to see John shine. John's been up there a couple of times and had some bad luck at the last minute or whatever. And it was great. He was up there in the beginning, and he just stayed up. So Shorty, that was a great race to watch, and you did well too because you got punted early and you got sent to the back. And where'd you finish?
I finished at 12th, I think. So there was an incident on the last lap where a couple of guys got into it at low in turn 2, or coming out of turn 2, and I had to back out of it to make sure I didn't clock anybody on the high side. So I lost 2 or 3 spots on the last lap, but it was a great race. I started 21st, so finishing 12th is. I would obviously rather finish in the top 5, but that was. If you told me starting the race that I was going to finish towards the top 10, I'd have been more than happy with that. So, and particularly, I've had a really bad season, and a lot of it's. I'm not going to blame anybody, but it's just been misfortune. It's not making mistakes. I did. And you know what? I'm going to apologize to Rob Shaw right now for the Elite race at Lanier the previous week. I took an EOL for it tonight, so I guess I paid my dues. But I cleaned him out in a heat race accidentally. I just had to change the lane to avoid somebody and cleaned him. But I've just had a lot of bad luck. So finishing 12th tonight may not sound like it, but was a big turning point for me, I think, or it could be at least. Because I haven't made a lot of features. It's been a rough season for me.
No, and your IL's up there too. You got to get that down.
Well, thanks for calling me out, Roger.
I'm just trying to help you out, make you aware.
Well, that's a mic mute for Roger.
I'd like to apologize to Rob Shaw for the Skippy race. It might have been 2 weeks ago where I was just stupid. Never mind. It was just stupid. I almost took the leader out too. It was just totally stupid. But
I was trying to figure out whether I couldn't remember because there were with the holidays, our schedule's been a little off, but I was trying to remember which one of us took Rob out first. Because I was like, he's got to be
Poor
so
Rob.
furious with our team because we had
or at least you and me.
Yeah, it was.
But hey, speaking of, because we're all blowing our own horn here, but the matinee races, which have been great, and I think we had 13 or 14. I mean, you don't get a full slate, right? But we were getting 17, 18 over Christmas holidays. But today, 360s, 13. And I finished P5, buddy. I was holding my own, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where were y'all at?
We were at Lanier.
Okay.
So, and I ran Terry's line, running the wall, and it worked like a charm. But anyways, 30 laps, and it was a grease track. 30 laps, and I said before the race, okay, let's see if we can do this flag to flag. Flag to flag, buddy, 30 laps. And it was, I mean, that's intense. You know how it is. There's no break. There's no chance to take a breath.
Oh, yeah.
I had Herwood on my ass. He ended up passing me, but I think Dan Blau was there too. He was riding my butt. So that was, for me, who a top 10 is a really good night. That was great. And a top 10 in the Skippies. I think there was 27 drivers, and I started like 24th and finished P10.
That's a good point. And let's talk about the Skippies for a minute, because the turnout has been incredible this season.
Yeah.
The racing has been really, really good. I think, and I'm hoping I'm getting his name right, Bob Light. Not to make fun of anybody, but
Bob Light.
But I always want to call him Bud Light. I don't know. It's the 3-letter first name, and anyway, I'm not making fun. But anyway, but he ran away with the race. But outside of that, like, it was a battle. Even Steven Spees and I were battling coming to the line. I made a little contact with him early. He made contact with me coming to the line. Like, it was great racing, and this season of Roadrunners has been my absolute favorite so far. I'm not really. At this point, not contending for wins, but I think because of the number of cars we have,
exactly, yeah,
it doesn't feel as important now because you're at least fighting for something. And it's been a lot of fun. So we've said this before, but anybody who's on the fence about coming out for that or not, come give it a shot. I think you'll find that at least that division has the widest spread of talent level because it's road racing, so not all of us do that very frequently. But have it's the widest spread. So you might be terrible at road racing, and I'm not going to mention who's in there that already is because nobody's terrible. But if you're not good at it or you're new at it, you'll still find somebody that you can compete with.
So you know what? You want to know what the best part of that is the last couple of weeks. Jack Clevenger's come out. Donovan Ross has come out.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, Ross Corinta came out. And one of them might have. Anyways, I out-qualified him. Like, this is the only time in my life I will ever out-qualify. It's kind of like when my kids used to get video games. If you didn't beat them the first week, you'd never beat them again. So, like, those guys are good. Those guys will be up near the front within a few weeks. I mean, they're just good racers. But hey, I beat those guys somewhere on a track once. So that's the cool part. But no, it's been great. And guys race for the most part clean. I mean, like I did a stupid thing a few weeks ago, and those things happen a bit. But it's been fun, and the numbers are good because you can be running for 20th spot, and if there's 2 or 3 is there, it's intense. So it's it's great.
And it's got that element of endurance racing. I mean, it is a 45-minute long race, which is, compared to anything else we do, is the longest feature that we have. And so that's another reason I think it's a little bit rewarding even when you don't win.
Donovan Ross wanted to know when there was an ice cream break in the middle the other night.
Did he? That's funny. I didn't hear that.
45 minutes, and he says, "Isn't there an ice cream break or something?"
Was he calling you out specifically?
No. He was just asking. Like, I think he was asking Parker, like, "Hey, isn't there an ice cream break? We got to go 45 minutes." I said, like, "Buddy, this is as long as my plumbing will last. It's 45 minutes."
The reason I made the comment that I just did, there was a spell there when Roger and I were racing together where his wife would show up with ice cream just after the race every time. So I didn't know if that was common knowledge or not. But anyway. We both went for a drink at the same time.
Yeah, I know that was great, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things I want to cover off, just because we haven't really talked about anything yet. 900 numbers. So what happened? I might have talked about this last week, but when we started the Dirt Modified, especially, people were applying. We let them in, as long as they had a D license. So that happened. But now what's happened? And then we've condensed all of those open divisions into one, the G-Force Dirt Unlimited, which you need to be in. But we've got, I think 75 900 numbers. That means there's 75 guys that haven't really registered with the league. We let them in, but have they read the rules? Do they even know where the website is? So now what's happening is we're going through this whole registration process. It's a form now. It's pretty easy. And it gives us some information, gives us information for the broadcasters. But the most important part is it lets Bill get his claws on them and bring them through the process. So after week 5, we're in week 4. So after and this will be Sunday, so it'll be week 5. Last week, when week 5 ends, anybody that's got a 900 number will be removed. You can reapply, but you'll have to go through the process, but you'll be removed. You won't be able to race. So if you have a 900 number, you're relatively new to the league, or if you know somebody that you've brought in, make sure that they have registered with the league, so that we're not going to chase down trying to find, is there an email, is there a messenger? Half the people you send stuff to on iRacing, their boxes are full. So it's just, okay, we put the word out. We'll be putting the word out more, but that's going to be happening. So just wanted to mention that. Elite qualifiers. So we've seen some low numbers there. It's like you said, we have the 4-division Monday night race, and so maybe this is just overkill. We have the Elite League, but we haven't had great attendance, so we are talking about opening that up to the elite drivers. And that we have an executive committee meeting Sunday night, so just following this. So we're going to figure out what to do there. But having said that too, we have seen since we brought out this new form, and we're on iRacing now, and I think we got 50 applications in the last week and a half. Bill Calder's going crazy, and he's handling it. Kudos to Bill. People don't have no idea how much work he does. So that process, and the process is working. So everybody gets indoctrinated into the league. They're made aware of all the different Facebook pages and the rules and all that sort of stuff. So, but what's happening there too is we're getting guys in the league with 5,000, 6,000 I ratings. So next season, they'll be transferring weekly. There's a guy, Jeremy Paulson, I think, showed up in the Elite tonight, and he was up front contending. So we're going to be getting a lot of these guys. I think it's going to get stronger. Elite's going to be, it's going to be one of the premier leagues for sure on the platform next season. It's already right up there, but it's only going to get more intense.
Yeah, and that was always the goal, and we knew it was going to take some time. I think some of the changes that we made when the G-Force guys handed that off to us, they were necessary changes, but they were kind of radical, and it was going to change the face, and we knew we would lose some of the drivers, but and just anybody that's been with us from the beginning will remember or could tell you how we got to Renegades or kind of the path we took. And it was tedious. There was a lot of work and even more thought that went into doing things the right way. So Elite should take less time because we have the template, but it's not an instantaneous change.
Yep.
And big blocks will be the same way. It's not going to be perfect for a couple of seasons. Well, it won't ever be perfect, but it's not going to be where we want it to be for a couple of seasons because it just takes time to work out the kinks and make sure people are where they're supposed to be. Because I'll tell you, I like those dirt modifieds as much as the next guy. I don't think I should be in big blocks. We got there, and I think we used the best format to get guys where they supposed to be, but it's going to have to shake out the right way. Yeah. And we have to do some shaking in order to get it there.
We applied a formula much like eHarmony, applies a formula for your matchups, but it's not until you actually beat the people that you know how well it's going to work out. So it's the same thing here. We took a best guess based on the people we knew and their histories, and tried to place, or if new guys coming in based on their I rating, and we need to make some adjustments, which is the segue into my next talk.
Glad I can help.
Yeah, so multi-divisions. We are seeing some issues here where guys, and this is again why we need to bring everybody through, because a lot of times it's the 900 guys, the 900 series guys. They're not aware of everything's posted, like who's in A street stock, who's in B street stock, who's in the big blocks or the small blocks or the sportsman. Those three classes, A, B, and C. People are just showing up for whenever they feel like, and no, that doesn't cut it. Other people are trying to transfer in, and so it's just too much for the admin to take in. And plus, we're going to be doing these adjustments. So week 5, we will be adjusting. We've moved 4 people in street stock up to A, just because they finished in the top 4, I think, all 4 weeks, or at least 3 of those weeks. So we're going to move them up. And then at week 5 we might move a few people down too, just like the big blocks. You may get moved down. So that's the plan. But the point I want to make is it's too much for the admin to figure out. Like, okay, these 10 guys transfer, and then they also, one of the rules is you have to have an IL equivalent of the division you're being transferred to, or you can't go. Well, that. Admins can't keep track of all that. So that's a driver's responsibility. And it's a driver's responsibility. We're making the lists available. They're right on the website, front page. Just click on it. There's the elite division, there's the street stock divisions, there's the dirt modifieds, and the outlaw divisions. All of those are there with which class you're in. And then the disclaimer is, if you're not on the list anywhere, then you're in the lowest division. Because we get new guys in, we don't have time to maintain all these. So if you don't see your name and you're doing dirt modified, you're running the C division. And we're getting, like tonight, guys that should know better showing up for the elite league, and they shouldn't be there. Guys showing up for the street stock A, and then it's the first night out. They just decided to show up for this one. So guys will be suspended for a week after week 5. It's up to the drivers to know this stuff. So if you're going in the wrong division, you're going to get suspended. I hate doing that stuff, but we got to get some control over it, and it's not fair to the guys that are working the transfer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and one of the reasons that matters most is because once you come in, you take up a spot on the roster. So we have to, you could keep somebody that's supposed to be in there from being able to race.
Well, And so what happens too is, this is a bit of a different issue, but we have guys in the elite qualifier who really shouldn't be there. They're probably like D division 360, and they can be there. And I don't want to, I don't want to discourage that, but like they're in the way. Like the track slicks off really bad in elite. And in the elite qualifiers, and they're not capable. They're losing it and taking out lead. Well, they haven't, but I mean that's the concern, is taking out leaders when they shouldn't have been there in the beginning. So
yeah, well, and to tack on,
so we will be
to tack on to what you were saying a little bit. I think there's probably a handful, and maybe more than that, of guys that have been with us for a while that know most of this stuff, that haven't visited the website recently.
Yep.
Visit the website. And it's been, Roger said this before, but it's been completely overhauled, and not to knock it before, but it's way more functional now than it used to be. It's real easy to go there and find out what division you're supposed to be in, or, if you're just curious as who's on what roster, you can go look at that. The protest form is much easier than before to get your information updated. It's way easy now. It's not, you're not having to deal with a bunch of headaches to do this stuff. So if you haven't, go click on the website, scroll to the bottom, and scroll through all the new buttons down there, because there's going to probably be something there that you haven't seen before, and it's worth taking a look at. 5-10 minutes, and just get an idea of what's available to you, so you know when you need it. Because it is a major upgrade, I think, to our website, to the point where I think it is. We try to use Facebook for a lot of stuff, because that was our option. And unfortunately, with the way Facebook algorithms work, where stuff comes out, it's just not effective in a lot of cases. For some things, it works great. Other things, it works terribly, but that was the only option we had. Now our website is supplementing that, and is a much better place to keep rosters, right? I mean, we used to have admins go to Facebook and you got to go back and find the post with the roster on it, and then go run through it and check. So it's way easier now, because the drivers can go do it themselves, and you're not searching for stuff.
You know how I keep saying, we have these meetings during these sessions, so we need to add the pit notes to the website. Bingo. One-stop shopping. So it's not the most eloquent website. It's not the most it's not pretty, but it's functional, and it leaves a lot of orphan pages and stuff, but I don't care about that. All the information is pretty much on that front page, and it's pretty extensive, and it's not hard to find, and so that's more and more we're trying to steer people to there, because like you say, the algorithms, and people say, I didn't see the Facebook post. Well, I kind of understand, because you might not ever see it the way Facebook.
Just as an example, I know we on our week 13 every year we have, or every season we do press releases, and Terry and I were talking to you about it, and we saw 1, 2, 3, and then 7 and 8, and I almost, even going back and searching for them, couldn't find them. It's just
I created them, but I couldn't hardly. I had trouble finding some of them.
Yeah.
So now we have press releases on the website. So. Right. And we do share them out to Facebook, but that's the system of record is right on there. So anyways, there's that, and a couple of just other things I'll mention is the Race of Champions, which we did, put it out on Facebook. I'm not sure who saw it. It was I think it went out under the radar, but the Race of Champions, if you're still hanging out with us now, everybody that wins a race this season will be entered into the Race of Champions, a 3-week series. For week 13, and it'll be tracks and cars that we don't normally run, and they'll be announced 24 hours before the race, or 12 hours before the race. So excited about that, but we're looking for a sponsor. So somebody, we'd like to broadcast all 3 races, so we're looking for somebody to step up and do that. So I had somebody contact me today. They were looking to maybe do, a partial sponsorship, but ideally, because we got a charity event coming up somewhere, we haven't set the date yet. And we'll be looking for sponsors for that too. So there's that, and officials. So, we got in a jam tonight where John Hine has been really under the weather, and he does the 2 street stocks. And actually, he does too much. He's doing that. He's doing dirt modifieds.
It's a big part of the review committee too.
Yeah, part of the review committee, and a big part of the review committee. We don't want to burn that guy out, that's for sure. But, Andy Patton stepped up and did all 3. Kyle Parker did volunteer to cover one, but the point is we need a few more guys. Trent Verstraeten just came on board, did one of the matinee races, and did a great job. Oh, he did the Rustlers race, I think, the other night too, and really did a great job. He's going to be great, once he gets over the whole nervousness thing. So, but we're looking for a few new officials, and like I said, you can do the matinee races or do a D division. We'll take it easy on you and just bring you up, through the path, and I think it's rewarding. It's I know I get stressed when I don't like to do the Renegades or the Elite. It's just I'm not good enough for that. But I do enjoy the matinees. I love doing that. So if you'd like to try some of that stuff, Gary Taylor, he got out of his comfort zone, and he's done a bunch, and Bill Calder's done a bunch, and so we could use some more officials. That's all I got. So I don't know anything else you want to cover or talk about, or.
I don't think so. I think we got another pretty long episode this week.
Yeah.
But it's again we're off to a good start this season. I think starting this week we've been in full swing, right? Because we're past the holidays now, and things are getting serious, and championship battles will start heating up here soon. And
week 4 already.
Yeah, it's crazy. It does go by quick. It's to me, it's just crazy. We're already a week through 2021. Yep. But yeah.
One other point, if I can make too, is so everything's scheduled now for the rest of the year. But it was pointed out by Preston caught one that I had wrong. I know last week I had 6-lap heats. Was that what was going to happen? No, it didn't have inverts tonight or something like that. There was something wrong with Elite that I fixed because you told me. There was something wrong with Street Stocks that I fixed because somebody told me. So all I'm saying is, if you get a chance, just check through the details of those and make sure that I didn't screw something up, because there's 240 races. So, mistakes were made. I know they were, and it's better to find out ahead of time than when you get in a race. So,
well, just to mention that, and then we'll sign off here. But I'll be curious to hear what other Elite drivers have to say if they're still watching at this point. I thought the changes we made for Elite for the practice time and warm-up time, at least this week, made an immense difference in the track. There was still it was worn, but there was still some grippy areas when we started, and even towards the end of the race, if you went searching, you could find a little grip here or there. And so moving to, because the track rolls over throughout the whole event. There's no, it never resets.
Yep.
So it made a huge difference, and I think that's one of the reasons. Now it's going to vary from track to track too. But at least at Lernerville, I think that's one of the reasons the racing was so good, is because, there were multiple lines that were working out, and the groove moved during the race. And I think what we've seen, at least last season, was you'd see the groove move in warm-up or even at the end of the B main, and then it was just follow the leader or try something dangerous, right? So it was that made a big difference for us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think they've done something to the tracks, because more tracks have multiple lines, which is nice to see.
Well, they did announce, I think it was not this last build, but the previous one, maybe, that they were making it, the dirt tracks were going to have some sort of algorithm for the water moving down the track.
Yes,
as the race went on. And I think that's one of the reasons the low line stays a little bit more competitive. Now, again, some tracks, once it's worn out, it's worn out. But like Lernerville especially, the low line was still effective. Yeah. I don't think it was the fastest line at the end of the race, but if you had a set for it, you were still running pretty well.
Well, and Lanier earlier today when we were running that 3.6, it was the same thing. There's multiple lines, and both those tracks have they're pretty well banked, so maybe that affects how much water flows down.
I can't talk about Lanier in real life because I've never been there, never raced there. But Lanier on iRacing is a shithole. I hate that track.
Wow. It's an asphalt.
I hate that track. Yeah, it's not a real dirt track. It's
asphalt, as we would call it here. Yeah. Asphalt down there. So it's
the worst track on the game.
Yeah. Pardon?
It's the worst track on the simulation.
On the simulation. Yes, I know. Okay.
All right. Well.
Okay. I think that's time to end now.
Yeah, probably so. We appreciate, just like every week, everybody watching. We know we're giving you tons of content. So if you're still watching at this point, you're a loyal fan,
or bored out of your skull.
Yeah, that could be too. So I also would be curious, just for feedback before we go, and we're just making this longer and longer. If people would be interested in listening to this rather than watching it. Now, we're still going to produce this as a video, but I've considered possibly pushing this onto some other platforms that are audio only, possibly Spotify or iTunes.
Like Spotify?
Yeah. So just for our own information, if that would work better for you, let us know, because even if it's 5 or 6 people that say that would I would be more likely to listen to it every week or whatever. It would be worth it, because we might pick up some other people along the way.
Other than our pretty faces, I know we don't say anything that's like visual. We just talk. So I know, I shuttle cars for a part-time thing, and sometimes I'm driving 3 hours, and so I'll listen to Dale Jr.'s show. That's terrible. I can't even remember what it's called. But I'll listen to Dale Jr. I'll listen to iRacers Lounge. So this is something that if even while you're working, if you're part of your job is working, or you can allowed to wear a headset, you can listen to us.
Yeah. It's good for us to know going forward, because I'm not sure if again, we're going to keep doing these videos because it's easy to do at this point, but it's also easy for me to extract the audio and upload it somewhere else. So, let us know.
But not worth doing it if nobody's going to take advantage.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Or if nobody bothered to listen to the hour and 45-minute podcast that we had this week. So anyway,
the other part of that though is then you could listen to it in church without nobody even know, because they wouldn't see the screen changing.
I'm not going to do that, Roger, and you're being a really bad influence right now.
I am. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Okay. We'll see you on the track.
Yep. Take care.